Hello, everyone. Today we'd be discussing different assessment objectives for A2 Sociology Paper 3, that is education. So we're talking about Paper 3 and Paper 3. In Paper 3, we tested on the unit education. Now, before we proceed, why is it that we understand these assessment objectives? It's pretty essential that we are aware that our papers or the answers that we write in our CAIs, they're checked according to these assessment objectives. These assessment objectives, namely, are AO1, AO2, AO3. Now, to be able to explain you what these assessment objectives mean, I would like to use an answer over here, which is not a model answer. Let me be very clear. The answer would be to this question: evaluate the view that evaluate the Marxist view that the role of education, evaluate the Marxist view that the role of education is to prepare young people to accept their position in an unequal society. Now, evaluate the Marxist view that the role of education is to prepare young people to accept their position in an unequal society. Before we could get started with this, these are the assessment objectives that have been picked up from the CAI marking schemes from May-June 2022. As you clearly see that the CAI advises students or advises checkers to use this particular marking scheme that is divided into three categories, namely AO1, here you go, AO2, and AO3. It very clearly mentions that for AO1, the examiner has 10 marks assigned. For AO2, the examiner has 6 marks assigned. And for AO3, the examiner has 10 marks assigned. So it's 10, 6, and 10. Together, it makes it 26 marks. AO1 over here is knowledge understanding, right? Number two, AO2 over here is interpretation and application. However, AO3 over here is analysis and evaluation. Now, before we begin, for a student to score anywhere in the top band in AO1, that is knowledge and understanding, he or she needs to demonstrate very good sociological knowledge and understanding. One, I'd like you to ignore this part. I'd just rather, this is for a separate question, so we don't really need this part here. So very good knowledge and understanding is required. The response should contain a wide range of detailed points, right? Wide range of detailed points that reflect very good use of concepts and theories or research evidence. So I may say 1, 2, and 3. This is the criteria that we should keep in mind for AO1, that is knowledge and understanding. Taking it ahead, when we speak about AO2, AO2, that is interpretation and application, where the examiner gets 6 marks in total, and the top level over here is level 3. Level 3 answers range between 5 to 6 marks. A range of material is selected, accurately interpreted, it's well developed, and it's consistently applied to answering the question. So a range of material is selected, it is accurately interpreted, it is well developed, and it is consistently applied throughout the answer. Second assessment objective. The third assessment objective that we have over here is AO3, and I'd like to cut off this part too because the question that I'd be using would be different. So the third assessment objective over here is analysis and evaluation. Over here, the examiner expects anyone who wants to score anywhere between 9 to 10 marks over here, or in level 5, that is the top level, he or she should demonstrate a very good analysis, should give a very good analysis or evaluation. There should be clarity, and there should be a sustained analysis with detailed and explicit evaluation. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. You may pause this video and list them down so that when you're writing answers, you know these the this is I mean, you could use it as a checklist to see that you're not missing on something that you shouldn't be missing on. Now, taking this ahead, the question that we'd be using over here is evaluate the view that the role of education is to prepare young people to accept their positions in an unequal society. Before that, I'd like everyone to read the disclaimer very carefully. Number one, this answer is for explanation purpose only. For explanation purpose only. Here you go. and should not be considered as a model answer. Keep that in mind again. The purpose is to help students understand the CI marking scheme better so that they're able to write answers on their own, I strongly advise that according to the CI assessment objectives. So yeah, this is what I want everyone to keep in mind before I even get started. Now, if we speak about this question, the question over here says evaluate the view that the role of education is to prepare young people to accept the position in an unequal society. This is a typical evaluative essay question in paper 3, A2 Sociology, in paper 3, Education for A2 Sociology. We get this question as the last question. It's a 26-mark question where we are expected to write down in support of this argument, and we are expected to write down against this argument. One. Number two, is there any particular format that the CI has advised? No, we do not have any particular format. We do not have any criteria. I mean, of course, there's a criteria in terms of the assessment objectives, but besides and beyond that, there's nothing specifically mentioned by the Cambridge as to how this answer should be written. Of course, it's an evaluative essay question. We're talking about the A2, we talk about A2 sociology students over here. A2 students, I'm assuming, should have a basic idea on how evaluative essays are written down. Typically, what we advise students is, like, let me repeat what we advise students, because the Cambridge does not advise that. What we advise students to do is to start off with an introduction, followed by a couple of points in support and a couple of points against. Typically, students write 3 points, 3 to 4 points in support of the argument and 3 to 4 points against the argument, and it ends with a conclusion. So the answer ranges between some 8 to 10 paragraphs, usually 8 paragraphs when you're using the introduction. After the introduction, you're writing down 3 points in support, and then you're writing down 3 points against, and then you're coming up with a conclusion. However, if you choose to write down 4 points in support and 4 against, that would eventually make it 10 points or 10 paragraphs, right? When I'm using the word point over here, as I use the word point over here, I meant a paragraph, right? So in a typical paragraph, either in support or against, it's expected from a student to uh, make a point. I mean, very clearly mention what you are trying to explain through that particular paragraph, and then you might as well support that point through sociological material. Now, when we use the word sociological material, the word sociological material is not confined to the names of researchers, as a misconception that many students carry. So when we use the word sociological material has to do with any sort of concept, any concept, any idea, any sociological reference, any evidence, any perspective, anything, right? So sociological material, the term sociological material, as we very often come across through the marking schemes, it's an umbrella term, and it does not mean that the student needs to confine himself or herself with the name of a sociologist. So yeah, to begin with, evaluate the Marxist view that the role of education is to prepare young people to accept their position in an unequal society. Now, we know that this question is about, the statement is about the Marxist perspective. If we have a look at the introduction here, paragraph number 1, that is introduction, the Marxist perspective posits that education plays a significant role in preparing young individuals to accept their positions in an unequal society. So, according to the Marxist perspective, as you all should be aware, according to the Marxist perspective, the education system plays a significant role in preparing young individuals to accept their position in an unequal society. This essay, or this answer, aims to critically evaluate this viewpoint by examining the arguments in favor and against the Marxist perspective, by analyzing the function of education. So by adding up this line, you're showing the examiner, or you're letting the examiner know that to be able to evaluate this particular statement, you would be using the functions of education in relation to social inequality, right? So as it says, by analyzing the function of education in relation to social inequality, we can gain a comprehensive understanding of its impact on shaping individuals' acceptance of their social position, right? So acceptance of social position. Here you go. This is what we're talking about. Now, uh, if I have to write an answer, I would always, I mean, I still do this. If I have to write an answer, I would read the question after every paragraph that I've written. After every paragraph I write, and before I'm starting off with a new paragraph, I'll read the question again, even when I have to read it 10 times while writing the answer. Now, why is it that I do that? Do you know what? What if you read the question while writing, if you read the question over and over again while writing the answer, you are, in other words, reminding yourselves that you are answering a question and you are not putting up a summary to a topic. Remember, uh, as I've seen many students making this mistake, they end up writing down a summary to a topic. Does that help? Oh, yes, it does help because it helps you pass. But then again, if you want to score high, if you want to score somewhere in the top band, you're expected to answer the question and not simply write down the summary of a topic. Remember, you answering an evaluative essay question. So I'd like to advise everyone to read the question over and over again, even when you're writing your answer. Brainstorming is, of course, a must, but then again, keep on reading the question so that when you're writing, you're writing in a way that it shows that you're answering a question, and that automatically translates into uh, I think it makes an answer better, and it is a pleasure to the eye. For if the examiner reads it, the examiner feels very connected. Remember, the marking scheme also required consistency. So this particular paragraph through which this particular introduction that we have. Now, if I try to apply these assessment objectives over here, what does this say? The paragraph demonstrates knowledge and understanding. See, the first assessment objective is knowledge and understanding. The paragraph demonstrates knowledge and understanding of the Marxist perspective on education and its role on perpetuating inequality. Very good, we know that. The writer is aware that the argument that of the arguments both in favor of and against the Marxist view. Now, as you've written that paragraph, it shows you, in other words, showing the examiner that, listen, gentlemen, I know what I'm talking about. I know what I'm up to. I know to be able to evaluate this particular statement, I would have to write down in favor of and against that particular statement. So where do we find interpretation and application over here? The writer interprets the Marxist perspective on education and applies it to the task of critically evaluating the viewpoint. By examining arguments in favor and against, the writers applying sociological material to analyze the role of education in shaping societal acceptance. So, of course, this is the introductory paragraph. The AO1, AO2, AO3 objectives might not very clearly or openly be reflected over here, but nonetheless, I don't want to miss on this part too. And the analysis and evaluation. The paragraph engages in the analysis of the Marxist perspective by examining its function in relation to social inequality. The writer evaluates a viewpoint by considering arguments for and against, including a critical assessment of the Marxist perspective on education. The mention of gaining a comprehensive understanding implies an analytical approach. Now, this is what I see as important over here. The mention of gaining a gaining a comprehensive understanding implies an analytical approach to the topic. Now, this is what we're talking about over here, where we wrote, we can gain a comprehensive understanding of its impact on shaping individuals' acceptance of their societal position. Now, writing statements like this gives the examiner an understanding that we would be analyzing the content or this particular statement ahead. The mention of gaining a comprehensive understanding implies an analytical approach to the topic. Discussing the impact of education on shaping individuals' acceptance involves evaluating the broad implications of the Marxist perspective. Now, this was just introduction. Moving on to the second paragraph here. According to the Marxist perspective, schools, now this is where your sociological knowledge to begin with starts, where you start demonstrating your sociological knowledge. According to the Marxist perspective, schools play a significant role in preparing a submissive workforce through the hidden curriculum. Now, this is a particular point that you have chosen to use for this particular paragraph in support of the statement, right? According to the Marxist perspective, Schools play a significant role in preparing a submissive workforce through the hidden curriculum. The hidden curriculum refers to the unwritten. Now you're further developing that, right? What exactly is the hidden curriculum? See, you've introduced a term in this answer. You might as well want to develop it further. The hidden curriculum refers to the unwritten lessons, values, and norms through taught implicitly within the education system. Now, you mentioned that schools play a significantly important role in preparing students for a submissive to become a member of a submissive workforce. How do you do that? You do that through the hidden curriculum, right? Then you've explained what the hidden curriculum is, and now you're providing some sociological content in some sociological material in support of it. Now, sociologists such as Bowles and Gentis argue that hidden curriculum reinforces inequalities by promoting obedience, conformity, and acceptance of authority. Thereby, now you're connecting it back to the point, thereby perpetuating the existing social order and preparing young people to accept the position in an unequal society. Again, do you know what? A couple of minutes back, when I was saying, try reading the question over and over again, try reading the question over and over again. This keeps the reader connected to the question. Now, through this last line that has been used over here, you're actually keeping the reader connected to the question, right? Now, let's see where AO1, AO2, and AO3 were applied here. The paragraph demonstrates knowledge and understanding of the Marxist view on education, specifically focusing on the concept of hidden curriculum. Get that. The writer is aware of sociologists like Bowles and Chintas and their contribution to the understanding of hidden curriculum and its role in reinforcing social inequalities. Here you go. This, this, right? Now, interpretation and application. The writer interprets the Marxist perspective by explaining the concept of hidden curriculum and its role in preparing a submissive force. By discussing the unwritten lessons, values, and norms within the education system, the writer applies sociological material to demonstrate the implicit teaching methods that contribute to social inequalities. Now, you know what? As a student, you write a paragraph. Many students, I've seen them copying content from the book directly. Do you know what? Many of you, I wouldn't say all, many of you, you don't even realize, without even realizing, you're actually using AO1, AO2, and AO3. I mean, you're doing it, right? You're doing it without even realizing it. Why not just understand how they work? You do get this when I say understanding how these assessment objectives would work would help you understand the CI marking mechanism better, which would again give you an upper edge over other students, or which would again help you score better. Now, the third part, that is your three, analysis and evaluation. The paragraph engages in the analysis of hidden curriculum's impact on social inequality by promoting obedience, conformity, and acceptance of authority. The writer evaluates the consequence of hidden curriculum. The word consequences over here understands the consequences of the hidden curriculum, suggesting that it perpetuates the existing social order and prepares individuals to accept the position in an unequal society. The mention of sociologists like, this shouldn't be bored you, this is Bowles and Gintis, adds depth to the analysis, showing an understanding of different perspectives within the Marxist framework. So these are the things that help us understand where we're applying AO1, where we're applying AO2, and where we're applying AO3. Now, if you have a look at this paragraph, this was the paragraph, right? As a student, you might have just written the paragraph. You probably might have just written whatever occurred to you at that time. But do you realize you are actually catering to these? And this is what actually helps you get a good grade or get the grade you desire. Now, the third paragraph that I'd like to bring in over here. Next, now this word next, it's just a word, but you know what? By using words like next or uh, additionally or in line with the argument, you keeping the reader connected. Don't make the reader feel like he or she gets disconnected after every paragraph to start it all over again, because your answer has not finished. The answer has not finished, right? It's in continuation, so you might as well make it look like it's in continuation. Next, schools are accused of legitimizing inequality by providing the illusion of equality of opportunity for all. So this is the point again, right? This is the point. And the point is schools being accused of legitimizing inequality. How legitimizing inequality? By providing the illusion of equal opportunity for all. This concept is supported by the correspondence theory, again by Bowles and Gintis, which suggests that education mirrors and justifies the social structure. The work of sociologists such as Bowles and Gintis highlight the role of education in reproducing social class divisions by channeling working class students into low skilled jobs while preparing middle class students for managerial positions. Now, schools are accused of legitimizing inequality by providing the illusion of equal opportunity for all. This concept is you made a point and then you further developed the point. Write it down over here. Development of point. This concept is supported by the correspondence theory. By doing this, this is sociological material. Bowles and Gintis, this is sociological material again. Now, the work of sociologists Bowles and Gintis highlights the role of education reproducing social class division by channeling working class students into low skill jobs while preparing middle class students for managerial positions. Now, you've written down how schools have been accused. See, nowhere are you saying that you believe in this. Remember, if you want to do that, you might as well do that in the conclusion. For now, you are writing down, there's a statement, and for now, you're writing down points in support of that statement and you writing down points against that statement. So this concept is supported by correspondence theory, which suggests that education mirrors and justifies the social structure. The work of sociologists Bowles and Gintis highlight the role of education in reproducing social class divisions by channeling working class students into low skill jobs while preparing middle class students for managerial positions. So you trying to, or the education system, according to this paragraph, is as accused by many, the education system is trying to legitimize inequality within the society. The education system is trying to legitimize inequality within the society. Let's have a look at how this paragraph would be seen. Again, the paragraph, that is paragraph number 3 that we just read, the paragraph demonstrates knowledge and understanding of the correspondence theory and its application to the education system. Sociologists Bowles and Gintis are referenced, indicating an understanding of their work. So you've used them, you've indicated that you have an understanding of their work and how their work actually contributes towards the concept of legitimizing inequality through the education system. Taking it ahead, interpretation and application. Now, when we speak of, or as we speak about, okay, so has this gotten stuck? So interpretation and application here. The writer interprets the concept of legitimizing inequality by explaining how explaining how schools provide the illusion of equal opportunity. The application is seen in the reference of correspondence theory, illustrating how education reflects and justifies the existing social structure. By mentioning Bowles and Gintis, the writer applies sociological perspective to support the argument that the education system reproduces social class division. Now, look at how this is connected to the question again. Here you go. Right? Keep the reader connected to the question. Make the reader feel like he or she's reading an answer to a question. Now, how is AO3 applied here? The paragraph engages in the analysis of the correspondence theory and its implications for social class divisions. The writer evaluates the role of education in channeling working class students into low skill jobs and preparing middle class students for managerial positions, showing an understanding of the mechanisms through which inequality is reproduced. There's an implicit evaluation of the correspondence theory's validity. You are questioning the validity of this correspondence theory and explaining the relationship between the education and social structure. Now, I chose an answer that is around for 600, 700 words. Typically, we advise students write anywhere between 1000 to 100, 1100 words. I chose this answer because I did not want this video to be uh, super long, and yet I see it's taking a lot of time, but I think it's going to be worth it. You could pause it at any point so that your understanding on how these assessment objectives work, it enhances, it gets better. Now the fourth paragraph over here, see words such as furthermore. Furthermore, education can perpetuate social integration through various means. Now, this is the point that you've chosen over here, that the education system perpetuates social segregation through various means. How does that happen? Private schools and the marketization of education contribute to the creation of a two-tier system that favoring those with financial means. Additionally, deprived schools, streaming by class, and the high cost of higher education limit opportunity for students from disadvantaged backgrounds. These factors reinforce social inequalities and hinder social mobility. Now, if we quickly move on to AO2 over here, you could read this on your own. The writer interprets the ways in which education contributes to social segregation by explaining how private schools, marketization, streaming, and higher education costs create a two-tier system, right? Two-tier system where the rich are treated in a different manner and the poor are treated in a different manner. Application is evident in the illustration of how these mechanisms favor those with financial means and limit opportunities for those from disadvantaged backgrounds. Of course, for the ones who can afford all of this, the system works in their favor, and the ones who cannot afford all of this, the system automatically goes against them. The third assessment objective, AO3. The paragraph engages in the analysis of how private schools and marketization contribute to a two-tier system. The writer evaluates impact of streaming and the high cost of higher education on opportunities for students from disadvantaged backgrounds, like I said. There's an analysis found over here as well of how these factors reinforce social inequality and hinder social mobility, demonstrating and understanding of the broader implications. See, these are broad implications of what the education system could possibly be doing, hindering social mobility. Let me assume we all know what social mobility is, moving up or down the social scale or the social strata. The fifth paragraph, the curriculum can reinforce. Now we're moving on towards another point over here. The curriculum can reinforce class, gender, and ethnic stereotypes, perpetuating social inequalities. High and low status knowledge, biased perspectives on high and low status knowledge. For instance, some subjects are considered to be more important than the rest. For instance, mathematics. Biased perspectives on history, economy, careers, and perpetuation of stereotypes contribute to the reproduction of an unequal society. Sociologist Giroux argues that the dominant curriculum often marginalizes the experience and knowledge of marginalized groups, further entrenching inequalities. Again, I think by now I have given you all an idea as to how you should go about using these assessment objectives. I just zoom out a bit so that you could uh, later on pause this video and read through this on your own. I'm more interested in these two paragraphs here, AO2, AO3. Over here, look at how you could show the examiner that you know how to apply whatever content you have used. Over here for AO3, the paragraph engages in the analysis of how the curriculum reinforces stereotypes and contributes to reproduction of social inequalities. The writer evaluates the impact of biased perspectives on the entrenchment of inequalities. The mention of Giroux adds an evaluative layer, suggesting that the dominant curriculum marginalizes experiences, knowledge, and further deepening social inequalities. Now, again, the topic influence on the curriculum, that happens to be the third topic. If you have a look at this syllabus, that we've put that to use, we've put that particular paragraph to use over here while answering this specific question. Now let's move on. The flip side of the coin, remember this is an evaluative essay question where you expected to write down both sides of the argument. So this one here, on the other hand, education on the other hand, so you're showing the examiner that you moved on towards the antithesis as referred by many. On the other hand, education serves as a mean to foster social solidarity and promote shared value of achievement and equal opportunity. Now, from here onwards, this happens to be paragraph number 6. From here onwards, you are disagreeing to the statement. Disagreeing to what statement? Disagreeing to the statement that the role of education is to prepare young people to accept the positions in an unequal society. You're disagreeing, you're showing your disagreement towards that particular statement. Durkheim, the popular functionist, Durkheim emphasized the importance of education in transmitting societal values and norms, creating a cohesive society. Furthermore, the notion of fair selection based on talent and hardship provides opportunity for individuals to attain highly rewarding positions in society. You might as well pause it here, read through these assessment objectives. And I'd love to explain them all to you, but it's going to the videos end up uh, is going to end up being super long, which many of you might not want to spend that much of time. So yeah, just pause through this, read through this, moving on to the next paragraph. Moreover, contrary to the Marxist perspective, education has been instrumental in reducing inequality by providing access to qualification and enabling social mobility for working class students. Sociologists, again, functionist sociologists such as Davis and Morse, functionist theory argue that education performs a role in allocating individuals to positions in society based on their abilities, contributing to meritocracy. Again, this paragraph, how you see this paragraph engages in the analysis of functions theory by highlighting its argument that education reduces inequality. This is not in line with the statement. Of course, this is an antithesis here. The writer evaluates the role of education contributing to meritocracy, suggesting that it allows individuals to be allocated to positions based on their abilities and not otherwise as suggested by the question. There's an implicit evaluation of Marxist perspective as being contrary to the positive impact, this part again, right? Now, the eighth paragraph, there are two more paragraphs. I just want to wrap this up real quick. Furthermore, education has played a vital role in challenging patriarchal and racist structures by promoting achievement for all. The feminist perspective highlights how education has provided women with opportunities for advancements and empowerment. Similarly, education has played a role in challenging the racial discrimination by fostering inclusivity and equal opportunity. Here you go. You might as well read through this. This paragraph did not have any sociological reference over here. I deliberately had this paragraph uh, here. I deliberately wanted this paragraph to be here so that, look, this is incorrect. I just fixed this. Oops. Yeah. So I'd rather move this line entirely. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, this particular paragraph without a sociological reference, the idea is that you know that if you cannot really recall any sociological reference while writing your answer, it is okay. Now, this particular paragraph, followed by the ninth paragraph over here that says, additionally, the choices leading to inequality and its acceptance cannot be solely attributed to education. The media and the culture of the home and peer groups also significantly shape individuals' perception and aspirations. Sociologists such as Paul Willis argue that the subcultures within school can resist inequalities, leading to social deviance and political protests challenging the status quo. Look at how the examiner could probably be seeing this. This is how you as a student see the answer. This is how the examiner would probably be seeing the answer, right? And wrapping it up real quick, the conclusive paragraph. Conclusively, the Marxist perspective suggests that education plays a role in preparing individuals to accept their positions in an unequal society. However, a critical evaluation reveals both support and counter arguments to this view. While education can reinforce social inequalities through the hidden curriculum, segregation, and biased curricula, it also promotes social solidarity, equal opportunity, and challenging patriarchy and racism. Ultimately, the impact of education on social inequality is influenced by factors such as the media, home environment, and the actions of educators and beyond. So, your conclusion, now a typical typical and frequently asked questions are: does the conclusion have to be one-sided, or could it be pretty diplomatic? It could be either ways. You could take a side, or you could. I mean, I'd try to keep it pretty balanced and diplomatic. Had I been a student, I would have written this. However, this is also possible, and what I would advise you to do this at this point is to not write as a first person. To not say I think this. I mean, let's keep it more formal so that uh, yeah, I think being formal is better. And yes, this is how you could evaluate. This was 02. This is how you could evaluate or understand the assessment objectives for the conclusion over here. And yeah, I tried to keep it quick. Despite of that, I see it's taken more than half an hour here. I hope this must have helped. The idea behind this video was to help you all have a better understanding of your assessment objectives. I hope it must have helped. Take good care of yourselves. Thank you. Bye bye.